Hello, wizards, witches, and everyone in between. My name is Emma, and join me as I kneel on the floor today and talk to you about the books that I read in July. So not to toot my own horn, but I read 15 books in July, which I am very happy about. I really thought I was gonna read like 5. Yeah, I guess I should just jump right on in. Why am I on the floor, you might ask? I don't know. The lighting, like I was kind of feeling like sitting on the floor, but then my tiny tripod's too short and my big tripod's too tall for me to sit on the floor. So kneeling it is. July was the Book Junkie Trials and also the Reading Rush, which probably is why I read so many books, now that I think about it. Alright, so the first book I read was Restore Me by Tahira Mafi. I gave this 3.5 stars. Don't remember what happened, but according to Goodreads, I liked it, and it left off on a cliffhanger. I finished this, I believe, on July 1st, so it feels like 8,000 years have passed since I read this, so that's really all I have to say about it. Okay, the next book I read was The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. Loved it. Maggie Stiefvater is slowly becoming like one of my favorite authors. The magical realism in this is like perfect. This book is so atmospheric. The characters are so well written, so complex, so realistic and lifelike. And that's true with the Maggie Stiefvater that I've read. So she's staying on brand with that. I love Gansey. I love Adam. I love all of the random women who live in Blue's house. Love that. Definitely need to finish the rest of this series now because I'm hooked. Alright, the next book I read was Pet Sematary by Stephen King, and I also gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I overall had a very, very good reading month in July, as you will see. But I listened to the audiobook of this, and Michael C. Hall narrated it, and he was amazing. I've seen the original movie and then the remake, and the original movie, like, the voice of the neighbor is, like, iconic. He recreates it so well. His voices in this are so good, beautiful. I had such a good time listening to this, and I did not think that I would, just because a lot of Stephen King, it's very hit or miss with me, but I honestly think the audiobook experience for this was like the best. So if you are wanting to read this, I would recommend the audiobook. I guess I haven't really been summarizing these, have I? Restore Me is a sequel, so I'm not going to talk about it. Raven Boys, Ghosts, Magical Realism, Searching for a Lost King. That's what this is about. This is about a family who moves to a new city, and their house has a big backyard that's part of an ancient burial ground. And if you put something in the cemetery, it might come back, but it might not come back the way that you want it to. Next, I read Defy Me, which is the 5th book in the Shatter Me series, so I'm all caught up, which feels very nice. And like all the other ones, I gave it 3 stars. The 5th one was good, so that's all you need to know. Alright, next I read I Wish You All the Best by Mason Deaver. Gave this 5 out of 5 stars. So good. It was such a good contemporary time. It is about a teenager who comes out to their parents as non-binary, and they get kicked out of the house, so they go and live with their sister, and it's about them navigating the world, navigating how they view themselves, how other people view them, and it was just so, so good. Such a great, important read. I would highly recommend it. It has lots of diversity in many different ways. It was very, very good, and it made me want to cry, but in a good way, and I would highly recommend it. Alright, next I read Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, and I gave this a 3 out of 5. This was the Paige Jollers Book Club pick for July, and at first I really enjoyed it, and then I don't know, once it was over and I was just reflecting on it, I was like, I kind of thought that it would have more. I think it's so hyped right now. And so I went in having very high expectations, but I think because I had just finished I Wish You All the Best, and that was such a good contemporary time, this was not as good of a contemporary time. Very political, almost too political, like, and I like the political stuff, but I do think it went a little bit heavy. The fact that it wasn't dual perspective between the two guys was kind of odd to me, but I really enjoyed the witty banter in this. That is definitely a big plus. It made me laugh, which was really nice, but I don't know, it just kind of fell short for me in the sense that we only got one of their perspectives, so we didn't really know the other one that well, and it was a little too long. This could have been easily 100 pages shorter, but it was good. I just don't think it is worth the hype. Now we're getting into my reading rush books. So I didn't do like an official wrap up at the end of my reading rush vlog because literally the next day here I am talking about these books. So this is kind of going to double as that. So the first book I read for the reading rush was And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. I used this for the prompt of reading a book you meant to read last year. I gave this 5 stars. I think this is my favorite book of the month, even though there were a couple others I rated 5 stars, but I just had the best time with this book. Like, you don't even understand. I wish I had read it in October. It has spooky vibes. It was so atmospheric, so well written, so fast paced. All of the characters were interesting. The only other book I've read from her was Murder on the Orient Express, which is part of that whole series, and, you know, has like the investigator guy. And I really liked, and I enjoyed that one. It sounds like I'm shitting on it, but I did enjoy that one. But this one doesn't have like an investigator. So this book is about 10 strangers who get summoned or invited, I guess, to a mansion that is on an island. And for some reason, all of these people show up, even though they don't really know who invited them. And there's no one else on the island, but one by one, they keep getting killed off. And they get killed off in the ways that the soldiers get killed off in the nursery rhyme 10 Little Soldiers, I think? Yeah, I think it's called 10 Little Soldiers by Frank Green. And the last line of that poem, or that rhyme, is And Then There Were None, which is beautiful. I know this book was previously published under the title 10 Little Indians, so I'm very glad they changed that. But it was so cool to have them getting killed off in the ways that are in that poem, and the fact that there's only 10, like, it had to be one of the 10, but there isn't like some investigator guy, like I said, so it's them trying to figure it out, and everyone suspects everyone else, and they're in this big spooky house, and a lot of it takes place at night, and it was just so good. So good. So, oh, I had such a good time with it. Okay, I could go on about this forever, but I won't. So just know that I recommend the shit out of this. Next, I read A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahira Mafi. This is her contemporary novel. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. This is about a girl who is Muslim American, and she is living in New York City post 9/11. And I think this book takes place in 2002, and it's about her struggles with her identity, how rude and discriminatory everyone else is, and how they treat her based on their assumptions. And it was really good. It had some very important things to say. Tahira Mafi's writing, I feel like, I mentioned this in my vlog, but it is so like lyrical and fluffy, and I feel like it lends itself to contemporaries so well, so I really hope she writes more contemporaries. But this was a good time up until the last 10 pages. If the book ended 10 pages sooner, this would have been a 5 out of 5, but it just took a weird turn with the love interest guy, and I was not here for that. So yeah, but other than that, like, it was still a very, very enjoyable read, and I'm so glad I finally got to this. I used this for the prompt of reading a book with 5 or more words in the title. Alright, next I read The Walking Dead Volume 1, and I used this for the prompt of read and then watch like a book to movie adaptation. So I watched the first episode of The Walking Dead, which I've already seen and I love it, so I wanted an excuse to watch it again. And I've never read these before, found them at my library, was so excited about it, and I gave this 4 stars. It didn't like blow me away. I don't think I have given a graphic novel 5 stars yet, but it was still very enjoyable, fast-paced, suspenseful. I don't know at what point the show decided to like not use source material anymore, but they definitely used this for the first season, so I was very pleasantly surprised. Next, I read Paper Girls Volume 2, and I gave this 4 stars as well, and this was used for the prompt of read something with purple on the cover, and the back has some purple. I really enjoy this. I love this series so much. I just need the next volume like right now. It was so good. I think I enjoyed this more than the first volume, actually. It's just so good. It's like a girl-powered Stranger Things. And the colors and the art is gorgeous, and I definitely recommend. Next, I read the illustrated edition of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, which I've had for a while now, and I never read the illustrated version, which is dumb. It was such a cool experience. It's like, it feels like a brand new experience because I know how Harry Potter goes, especially the first book. So I don't think anytime soon, like I don't have a desire to reread the first book, but reading it and having pictures just makes it feel new again. And I think it's time for me to read the second one illustrated for sure. But I had so much fun rereading this and diving back in with all my Hogwarts peeps. 10 out of 10. The experience was amazing. Not to mention this book obviously is 5 stars. I mean, come on, it's Harry Potter. Also, look at this drawing of the shack when the Dursleys try to escape from all the mail and then Hagrid comes and finds them like on that shack thing in the middle of the ocean. Look at it. Gorgeous. Alright, for some reason I forgot to mark this on Goodreads, so I don't know when exactly I read it, but that's not important. I reread The Hours by Michael Cunningham for the Book Junkie Trials. 5 of these books in this wrap-up were for the Book Junkie Trials, but I can't remember which prompts they were for because I finished them sort of early and then I got caught up with the reading rush, so this video is all over the place. But yes, 5 out of 5. Obviously, it's my favorite book of all time. I've already explained the plot to you in like 6 videos, so I'm not going to get into it, but it was just as good as I remembered. Next, I listened to Sinner by Maggie Stiefvater, and I used this for the prompt of reading a book in the same spot. So I listened to this at the gym, and only at the gym. It was a good time. It was, I'd say a 2.5. It wasn't like as good as Shiver, but I honestly think from the Shiver trilogy, Shiver was the best one, and then Linger was second best, and then Forever to me was third best, so this would be 4th best. But it's just one of those series where I'm like, I still had an amazing time. Like, for this book, 2.5 is not bad at all. I would reread it. I would re-listen to it in the future. It just got me back into that world, which I missed so much. I don't know, I just felt like the plot was kind of lacking, and this definitely could have been a novella. Cole didn't need his own book, but I was still happy I read it. I'm still trash for this series, and that's all you need to know. Oh, my knees hurt. Okay, 2 more to go. So the last book I read for the reading rush was Animal Farm by George Orwell. I gave this 3 stars. I had really, really high expectations for it because I love 1984, and I also love a good classic, and I knew that this was like commentary, satire kind of thing, which I was really excited for, but it still just kind of fell short for me. It was fine. It was funny because my mom used to teach this when she taught 8th grade, and so this was her copy that she annotated, and at the beginning of the chapter she would summarize in like a phrase or just like 2 words like what happens, and one of the animals, I mean multiple animals die in this, that's not really a spoiler, but one of them in particular dies, and I got spoiled for it because she wrote that at the beginning of the chapter before I even knew or could guess that that animal was gonna die. So That was just really funny to me. But I mean, I'm glad I read it. I'm very glad I've read it. I've meant to read this since middle school, but I don't know. It just fell short for me. So the last book that I read or listened to, I guess, was The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. And I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. It was a great audiobook experience because there were 2 separate narrators, or 3, I think. And I would be interested in reading the physical book sometime just because of the way that it's structured. I feel like I just want to see it, if that makes any sense. But it was really good. It was insta-lovey, but then it didn't end the way I thought it would end. And it was just very cool. Like, it's so hard to explain. The 2 main characters are very diverse. One is Jamaican and the other one is Asian American, I believe. And it all takes place within one day. So the girl is dealing with possibly getting deported, and the guy is dealing with a big job interview, and they meet, and it's like basically the story of their day together. The ending surprised me, but it was really good. It was a good contemporary. This video already, I can see, is almost 28 minutes long, so I'm gonna go. Thank you for watching this if you stuck around. I hope you had a good reading month in July. Let me know if you have read any of these and what you thought of them, if you agree or disagree with me. If you read Red, White, and Royal Blue, do you agree with me as well that it doesn't really live up to all the hype? Let me know, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!